Hello everyone and welcome back to another Pokemon SDL Season 3 battle. This is Darky Way again, and I'll be going over my team real quick before we face our opponents for the fourth week. For the fourth week of the SDL. Some of you, those of you who follow me, will know that there hasn't been a battle yet for week 3. The reason being that my opponent has been away for some legal obligations, basically. And he's going to be away until we don't know when, but we'll battle when he's back. Until then, you'll have to make do with my week 4 battle against Justin of the Buffalo Bouffalants. Justin, who actually traded off his mascot last week, traded off the Bouffalants for a Licky actually, which is I don't think it was very a good idea. I think Bouffalant was better for him, and it certainly worked out well for him actually. I think it was a bad trade, but regardless. So let's go over my team real quick. We've got Mutesio de Tapulole. Since I've got Tapulole, there's really no point in me not bringing it. It's probably universally recognized as the biggest threat in the format right now, and just the biggest threat in Pokemon right now in general. So we got the Tapulole with the Life Orb, Psychic Surge, Moonblast, Psychic, Shadow Ball, Psyshock, 252 special attack, 252 speed, timid natured, nothing fancy here. I could give this thing Thunderbolt over any move, basically, but just to kill the Skarmory that my opponent has. But I've got other ones to deal with this Skarmory, and I like the combination of Psychic and Psyshock in order to take down threats such as the Licky, and maybe even the Silvally or the Arcanine more easily by switching between the two as needed. We got Magneto, the Magnezone. Magneto is, again, Choice Scarf, Magnet Pole, 252 special attack EVs. This one has a weird 100 EVs in speed, just so that, wait, let's make that, yeah, 101. So, just so it has enough speed to outspeed threats like the Metagross, for instance. Threats like the offensive Tapu Fini with the Scarf. I'm going to outspeed a max speed Scrafty before Dragon Dance. Lantern as well. And the neutral Silvally as well. So that's really the only reason I'm running this much speed. I've invested the rest of it in HP in order to tank a hit. And again, Modest Nature, Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, Flash Cannon, and Hidden Power Ground. Hidden Power Ground is going to allow me to hit the Lantern mostly, but also the Arcanine should it want to switch in. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I don't really have anything to hit the Mega Sceptile except for the Flash Cannon, but I suspect my opponent's going to want to bring a physical Mega Sceptile with the Earthquake, so that wouldn't help me much either way. Licky also very likely to have the Earthquake. Silvally, I have the feeling that my opponent's going to bring it this time, but I have no clue what type he's going to want to put on it. He may actually just go for a normal typed one for the Choice Scarf and Parting Shot, or he may just want to go for the I think a good type against me would be a Dark type Silvally, so he might want to bring that. Either way, moving on, we've got Tana the Tangrowth, which is the first time we're seeing it in this season. So nice regenerator nice regenerator core here between it and the Alomomola. As we know, neither of them really has any special def bulk to speak of, but this is why I've got this little heat set here with the Tangrowth. Giga Drain Synthesis, Amnesia, Leech Seed. Of course, this means that I cannot take on the Mega Sceptile with it, but I should be able to do pretty well against pretty much everything else. Bar, of course, a physical. I think a physical offensive Arcanine might actually be able to stop us. Other than that, Giga Drain, Synthesis, Amnesia, Leech Seed should be able to stall out pretty much most of my opponent's threats. Alamomola has the Hanabi Hamalomola has the wish. It's called Ice Beam, Protect. Nothing fancy here either. Ice Beam really just in order to hit the incoming Sceptile. I'm not actually going to do that much against it since I only have base 40 special attack, and I'm not investing any of it in it. But I need the defense bulk on the team. Alamomola has defense bulk, and that's pretty much what we're going for. Here's another little heat set. Crayola, the Claydol, has the Rock Polish set this time with the Ice Beam, Stealth Rock, Earth Power. We will be able to one-hit KO a lot of threats that my opponent has with it, and hopefully I can manage to set up after killing off the Tapu Fini and maybe the Skarmory, which are pretty much the biggest threats to this mon's offensive capabilities. And last but not least, we've got the Spooky Plate, Hiyori the Mimikyu. Have the standard set, Swords Dance, Shadow Claw, Shadow Sneak, Play Rough. Just Disguise is such a good ability that I end up bringing it. I end up bringing this thing whenever there's a major threat on my opponent's team that could set up on me. Since Disguise pretty much grants you a free hit on anything. With this out of the way, let's accept Justin's battle. So let's go. As we can see here, my opponent brought the Metagross, which was very obvious. Very good switching against the Tapu Lele. My opponent brought the Lycanroc Day version, the Tapu Fini, Silvally, we don't know which one yet, Lickilicky, as expected. I suppose my opponent made that switch specifically to face me, and the Mega Sceptile. Mega Sceptile went without saying, of course. I'm just going to paste the battle into our group chat. Not that there seems to be... There doesn't seem to be a lot of people on right now, but I could be wrong. Anyways. Let's think about what we want to bring in on turn 1. I think Scarf Magnezone is looking pretty good right now. Scarf Magnezone should be able to switch out on most of my opponent's favored options. The Volt Switch hits the Lycanroc pretty hard. It's probably going to be Focus Sash. If it is, we're Volt Switching right into the... if he leads with it, we're Volt Switching right into the Claydol. If he leads with Magneton, not Magneton, what am I saying? Metagross. He's probably rocking the Earthquake. We're Volt Switching out against that thing as well. Hopefully it's not Scarfed. I don't think I should expect a Scarf, but if it ends up being Scarf, it's going to take out the Magnezone. But Magnezone is pretty much designed in order, specifically around the idea of trapping it. So if it can't do that, it's not really worth much anyways. It does deal very well with the Tapu Fini, however. If he leads with the Tapu Fini, of course, good for us. If he leads with the Silvally, it will depend on the type. If it ends up being a ground type, we're just switching out Nibble Switch. So I do believe Magneto is the play here. So we're going to lead with the Magneto the Magnezone. as our opponent leads with the Licky Licky, Albert the Licky Licky. Now, what are we expecting here? I'm expecting some sort of curse set with maximum special defense, or maybe an assault vest set. This being the case, I'm going to vote switch out right now and see, and go into, I think going into Tangrove might be the play here. My opponent could also be going for the Earthquake, not risking anything. So let's try this. Hopefully he doesn't go for the Curse, as he goes for the Wish. Interesting. This might be our chance to go for the Amnesia here, but my opponent might have the Toxic, and I think I'd like to scout for it, so let's switch back into Magnezone for now. As my opponent does have the Toxic, thankfully Magnezone doesn't care about the Toxic at all. Suspecting my opponent to want to go for the Wish again, so what am I going to do here is just go for the Volt Switch into Volt Switching into Hiyori might be the better play here, but I don't want it to get toxic so soon. With this in mind, let's go into Tapu Lele and fatten it out with the Psyshock. As my opponent goes for the Earthquake and lands a crit, which does tremendous damage against us. I think we don't have a choice, so let's go for the Psyshock, which almost knocks it out, but doesn't quite. And he takes us out with the Gyro Ball. But that's not a big deal. Tapu Lele, with this setup, Tapu Lele wasn't going to do that much damage. So what this allows us to do is go into Magneto and go for a safe Volt Switch against my opponent. I don't think he brought the don't think he's going to have the ground Silverly, so Volt Switch should put me in an advantageous position, whichever he wants to go for, as he goes into Megatron the Magnezone. Not Magnezone, I have the Magnezone, Metagross. Metagross is going to be a word that I'm going to remember eventually. But until I do, expect me to mess that up a few times. So let's see. We may want to go into Mimikyu and go for a setup. That might be the threatening play right here, but this could also be our better chance to set up with Claydol. Let's see. What do I want to go for? Yeah, alright, let's go. Let's go into Mimikyu and threaten our opponent right now. Let's set up with the Swords Dance and see what he decides to do. As my opponent decides to switch out, bad play. Definitely a bad play. He should know that. He should have known that I would set up here. And now I've got the Disguise up and the Swords Dance up. So let's go for the Play Rough and take this thing out right now. In comes the Tapu Fini. We could go for another Swords Dance, which I think is what I want to do. And hopefully he's not going to land the burn on turn 1. Although he might. Well, let's go for the Swords Dance anyways, as my opponent goes for the Moonblast. Perhaps expecting me to switch into the Tangrowth, but I do not. Let's go for the Shadow Claw, which is boosted by the Spooky Plate. And I just noticed that this thing outsped us, actually. That's interesting. Curious, actually. So this Tapu Fini is offensive and max speed. Alright, let's go for the Shadow Claw anyways. We're going to tank this hit. As we one hit KO the Athena, thankfully. This thing has... what does this thing have in store for me? Not much, I believe. Let's go for the Shadow Sneak and see how well this thing takes it. Doesn't take it at all, actually. One hit KOs the Lycanroc. And my opponent went for the Accelerock, expecting that, but I actually survived it. A lot of people forget about that, but Mimikyu actually has decent defenses with the 80 base defense and 105 actually base special defense. So I really wasn't scared of the Accelerock there. I think that's a terrible nickname. Justin, that's a terrible nickname, and you should feel bad. My opponent's type is Fairy. I don't want to risk the miss, so let's go for the Shadow Claw again. As my opponent might be max speed, and if it is, it's going to outspeed us. But I don't think I want to take the risk. Or maybe we should. Maybe we should take the... We should maybe just land some damage with Shadow Sneak and see how that goes. Then set up with Crayola and win. I think I like that better. Yeah, let's go for that. Let's go for the Shadow Sneak. Land some tremendous damage against my opponent. Mimikyu did 72%. Now we're going into Claydol and Rock Polish. And we may get a sweep here, actually. With the Claydol would be pretty amazing, if I do say so myself. I don't think my opponent's going to one-hit KO us with the Ice Beam. And if it's not Scarfed, it's going to it's not going to be able to outspeed us after the Rock Polish. But if it is, it just might. But yeah, I don't think he can defeat our Regenerator Core with what we have left. He's not Scarfed. I get off the Rock Polish. And I'm just going to go for the Earth Power here. As we do then the KO on the thing, on the Silvally. Now we're going to go for the Ice Beam on the Mega Sceptile. As my opponent does not Mega immediately. Good play. That was a good play. I don't know if I can one-hit KO the Sceptile if it doesn't Mega Evolve first. But yeah, let's go for the Ice Beam. As we just barely miss out on the KO, unfortunately. My opponent goes for the Leaf Storm. So yes. We can just go into this thing here now. And I believe going for the Giga Drain. Will Giga Drain kill the Sceptile at this range? I cannot be sure, but I will try. Let's go. We're going for a Giga Drain. As my opponent switches out into Megatron, the Metagross. We're going to set up a Leech Seed here on the Meteor Mash, which barely does any damage. Unfortunately, we missed the Leech Seed. As my opponent misses the Meteor Mash. So, this isn't looking good for my opponent. I'm going to set up in Amnesia on the Meteor Mash. Go for the safe Synthesis here on the Ice Punch. And at this point, I think my opponent pretty much lost. Unless he has a weird Synthesis set on the Sceptile. Going to Amnesia again, just to make sure that a special hit won't kill us. Let's go for a Giga Drain now on the Ice Punch. It's not quite going to take out my opponent, but At 3%, we can just safely go for the synthesis here. He gets the crit, but it really doesn't matter in the end. We're up 83% HP on the 7% HP against the Mega Sceptile. Just going to go for the Giga Drain. It's going to be double resisted, but that shouldn't matter in the end, as our opponent goes for the Protect again, for whatever reason. Just stalling out the inevitable, I believe. So the Dragon Pulse does 16% damage, and the Giga Drain lands the KO for our victory. So thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you again later this week, hopefully, as Phantom comes back from his obligations, and hopefully we'll have another victory there, and I'll see you again next time. Hopefully I'll have more time to go over my team as well for next week, which has already been built, but I don't want to spoil it now before we actually have our battle with the Chicago Beartics. Wouldn't want to hint my opponent as to what we're bringing, you know. In any case, thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you again.